Hello, everybody. This is the Body Doc once again. Me and Bill in here getting it in. This first exercise is I call it sit to stand. But what you do is you press down with your hands, palms hard down, and engaging your lats. As you lower down, you're going to be stretching out the shoulders, the lats, the front and back of the shoulder, and then your lower back. At the same time, you are lowering yourself down. Now, this is a exercise that's dealing with we are unfreezing a shoulder here. So this is going to be for anyone who has shoulder issues or tight lats or um, weak forearms or weak hands. This exercise is going to work on all of that. Your grip lowering down, your ability to keep a tight grip without your fingers loosening up. Like most people, pinkies is going to give because it's that outside connection, the outside connectivity, which is it engages that shoulder more. So your pinky is normally going to let loose on your grip first. But again, it's just lowering yourself down, stretching out the lats and shoulders. The lower back is going to be stretched out too. And then you're getting a little squat action going on at the same time. But the main thing is grip and keeping them arms straight so they can stretch out the shoulders and the lats. I do a lot of probing because I want my clients to be able to connect with the muscles we are actually trying to make flex and be active in movement. When you have weaker muscles, the stronger muscles are going to overpower them so that you won't feel pain. Every muscle is in cahoots trying to not activate tender muscles or muscles that's going to cause you some type of pain when you move them. So I'm going to constantly be directing Bill to contract the muscles that I'm touching so that we can get a mind muscle connection started back up. This is Bill's first session with me, and doing this stretch here, and he's trying to get his hands down to the ground. He actually asked me, can my hands touch the ground? So he has been dealing with this pain for an extreme amount of time. You see right here?
You can actually put your hands flat on the floor.
So Bill has suffered a stroke, and we want to say it's due to the COVID shot. He had a little shoulder issues after the or before the stroke, but after the stroke, the shoulder totally froze up, and the other one isn't working too well either. Here I rolled Bill over onto his shoulder because he's in contact with a hard surface, meaning he don't have to move his muscle. His muscle is being mashed around right now. His shoulder is being moved around right now on the bottom. And this is a position that's very uncomfortable for him because he can't lay on his side and sleep. He has to lay on his back. When you have shoulder and neck issues, sleeping becomes very difficult. But just him laying on the weight of his shoulder, me manipulating the top shoulder, is breaking up some of this scar tissue and letting these muscles know, hey, we finna start taking on some weight and carrying on some action instead of running from this action. and eventually it will have to give in to the movement and to the activity. What hurts us the most a lot of times is just the pain and inactivity, and then the inactivity makes everything worse because now muscles start to stiffening, and when you move a muscle that's stiffening now, it's causing pain. Really not something that is in pain, but because of stiffness, soreness, and its protection mode, it just gonna cause maybe some slight pain or maybe a lot of pain. But it's the pain that makes us not move. Majority of the time, it's pain. If you watch closely here, when I roll him over, you can see he don't want to get on that left shoulder. That left shoulder is the one that's really giving him problems. You can see how he really is not on that hip either. So yeah, next time we do this exercise, it's going to be a little bit more exaggerated towards the front row to stretch out that shoulder and get on it more. Now you're going to see here, just from these little muscle manipulations and him putting weight on his own shoulder, you're going to see that now when he drops his arms back down, he's going to be able to touch the ground because it's just an awakening of the muscles and movement.
Getting looser.
There you go. Touching the floor.
So what I'm doing here, I'm just literally manipulating his arm at a rest position so that he is not helping hold his arm up at any point. It's like the gravity is doing everything, but at the same time, his arm is not moving. So it's just me trying to get the muscles to say, okay, we can move, because it's no stress on them trying to hold the arm in any position as I manipulate the muscles, because him being in so much pain for so long, all the body knows at this point is to protect and not to let move. So I'm just trying to get the body to connect to the mind, get this shoulder joint to connect to the mind, to let it know we are able to move, we're about to start moving, and it's okay to move, and that this pain is okay, and that we need to move through the pain. You're not going to get any new movement without letting the body trust itself. So this is just a trust process, trying to build between the mind and the muscle. want y'all to look closely because I don't do a lot of measuring. I don't do a lot of stuff to see how far you can go. Because as we train, we going to figure that out. But as you can see, he has no range in that left hand. That's like barely over his head if he was standing straight up with that left hand. See? It's not even past his face or his head. Now, his right hand can go back a little bit further, but that shoulder is messed up too. Both shoulders is messed up. QC Kinetics wanted to charge him $15,000, $12,000 for one shoulder and $3,000 for the other shoulder. But we gonna break all that down, bust all that down. We're gonna have him throwing the baseball, football, and swinging that golf club here pretty soon. Like I say, this is his first session, and he's dealing with frozen shoulder that he's been dealing with for some years. So it's not a quick process, but it is a tedious process. And a lot of what I do is just try to get you to be back in sync with natural movement, body mechanics, having proper muscle movement, having proper muscle activation to get through different movements and movement sequences. Bill hasn't benched in years, and right here I'm just trying to get that action.
I feel like I'm lifting weights.
So we're just trying to get that muscle
But
to.
the fact I can do this, that's a win in itself.
You wasn't doing that in the beginning.
Right, cool.
This movement here is trying to get him to connect that elbow to the chest, because eventually we're going to be doing bench. And when you come down in the bench press, you're going to lead with your elbows pointing back, coming back to engage the chest. So eventually from this move, we're going to apply some pressure to the ground, and he's going to raise up off the ground, back going to be off the ground just a little bit, just to get the squeeze back there. But you're going to be pushing the ground with your elbows. Just like that, but he's going to be pushing backwards and raising up off the ground.
Wow.
All right. Up one more time. Down to the side.
It's like I'm lifting weights.
Here, Bill, we're trying to get him to get a mind-muscle connection. During that stroke or whatever, he has lost a lot of coordination, a lot of movement. So I'm constantly probing him, trying to get him to connect to these muscles, because if I can touch you and you can feel it, then you can connect to it. But if I tell you to move your scapula, first of all, who knows what a scapula is? Not a lot of people. So if I say, hey, move your scapula, that don't mean nothing. But if I'm touching you, moving your scapula, making you engage in with me to move that muscle, then now we can get somewhere.
Shiny went to a place called QC Kinetics.
That's the new place.
They want $15,000 coming. I got frozen shoulder.
$15,000.
I say, man, I can't do that.
15,000?
Yeah. 15,000.
What?
12 for one, 3 for the other.
It makes no sense for me to be rambling off a bus of muscles to you when majority of us don't know what these muscles are. So I would just basically explain exercises so that you can do them. Because here, all we're doing is you're engaging that shoulder, that lat, and that scapula. But the main thing here is the stretch on the way up. Not the pull down. Stretch on the way up with resistance and hand strength. Because pain will make you lose grip and stretch. So I said that to say if you got tight muscles or injured or sore muscles, you're going to lose strength as they stretch because they don't want to cause pain. So whatever is away from that injured area, whatever is away from like you say your shoulders hurt, so you got your elbow, you got your wrist, you got your hands. Those things are going to give in and become susceptible to different angles they're not going to be strong at anymore because certain angles are now going to put stress on the shoulder or cause pain. So that's part cause of non-movement most of us do when we're in pain because the muscles are shortening. They're becoming less elastic. So yeah, the main thing in this exercise is just like to stretch up. Of course, you're getting some work on the way down, but the stretch up is the work. Now, y'all seen when Bill first came in, I had him lay on the ground. He could barely get his arms to the ground. Well, look at his arms now. They are behind him without him knowing. See, it's the trickery. You have to trick the body into moving again because it is so advanced at protecting itself. You have to do more and more stuff to engage more and more of your body to get it to open up to more movement. Period. And this frozen shoulder thing is painful. It's painful, but that's part of the process. It's painful. It was painful when it start messing up. It's gonna be painful to fix it. It ain't gonna be easy. But you see how far his arm going behind him now. And he could barely get it to the ground at the beginning of the session. Oh, geez, thanks. Hold your applause, please. There's more to come. Enjoy the show. Every angle is different. This is sort of the same exercise we were doing when he was faced the other way, but this is pulling the arms a bit more back and he's having to engage more of his muscles in the chest and the shoulders. And the hand grip is one of the main things about this exercise. It's trying to keep them palms in and pushing down as you get that stretch going back. See, Bill is a referee. He told me he hadn't called any games because he didn't feel like he could make the charging call, which is one hand behind your head and the other one is like pointed out. The other arm is pointed out straight. And he hadn't called a football game because he didn't feel he could raise his hands for a touchdown. So that's what this movement here is about, getting him ready for that touchdown signal. Now here on this exercise, what I'm trying to do is, of course, stretch out the shoulder with resistance, get it coming back, but also stretching out where I'm touching him at here and across the top of his back where his hips are tight at. So you see how none of him wants to really move or twist. That's all this weight is doing, is kind of pulling him into a rotation. But the work is this shoulder that's on the bench, holding the body up and bringing him back up with the pressing hand down, the palm down on the bench. That's the work. The weight, he was really moving with his whole body, his whole back. So it's not really centered on the shoulder, even though it's getting a little action. But the main focus is just the twist and the torque on this one.
Man, that don't look like a hard exercise.
When you can't move, it's terrible.
Oh, man.
That's the thing, when you can't move, it's terrible.
Yep.
Here on this exercise, the focus is to stretch on the neck, the trap, and the shoulder with a tight grip. You want to focus on your grip because whenever you get in pain, you lose your grip. Now, you see how he was tilting? Now, he's still kind of tilting. So I'm going to give him some cues and try to get him to straighten up with focus. I'm going to tap on his head here in a second to make him pull it to the side to kind of exaggerate the stretch on the neck so that the muscle can feel that, hey, I'm going this way, you can go that way. And you see that when I got his head here now, his shoulder don't go down as much. You see, as soon as I let it go, it went down a little bit more. But like I say, all we're doing here on this first session is awakening muscles, getting them out of the dormant stage, getting them back on the circuit board, and try to find the right patterns again for them to move in, for him to have some consistent movement, and the recovery will last once you get everything working again together as a family. That's what this is going to be, just trying to awaken the muscles and get them back going on a consistent basis. Here I am literally going to be trying to manipulate the shoulder to move up and down because this is the one that is most frozen and the tenderest and the sorest and the one with the most caution signs around it. But I'm assisting him to move it because me touching on him and him feeling me there, he can actually tune in to the shoulder, a shoulder that didn't want to be tuned into at all. So when someone hasn't moved and the body is so cautious about moving, I just want to get a person moving first before we get into major details about movements or anything like that. I basically want to get, like I say, you want to awaken these muscles. You want to prime everything up. You want to get the person mentally ready to do movements, to be conscious, comfortable with themselves, making movements, comfortable with you, helping them make the movements. But like I say, I do a lot of touching, I do a lot of probing, because I feel like once you lose that connectivity to the muscle, it's not an easy process. It's a feeling process. And if you can't feel what you're trying to feel, you can't connect. You know, a lot of people try to engage certain muscles, or you go to the gym and wonder why you can't get muscle growth sometimes. It's because you're not engaging the muscles. You're doing the movements, but you're not engaging the actual muscles. You can work all around the muscles you're trying to engage, because the stronger, more active muscles are going to always dominate. Sometimes the smaller ones get left out the group. And a lot of times that's when the injury arises, when one of those weaker muscles all of a sudden get into the fight and he ain't ready. He get knocked out. So you got to focus on, I call them starter muscles or stabilizing muscles, because those are the muscles that are somewhat most important, because when you make a quick action, a lot of times these are the muscles that's going to be activated first. And if they get a certain twitch and get caught in a different angle, or the angle that they're not comfortable with, then that's going to be an injury, some type of tear, or some type of injury, you know, where you're going to feel it. If you're dealing with shoulder pain, this ball hug is a great exercise. And what you do is you want to roll your back up that ball and try to relax, get to a position where you can relax your neck back. You want to be able to relax your neck, stretch out your chest, let your shoulders relax into the ball. Once you do that, you can start swinging your arms, not swinging, but rotating your arms back above your head, back around above your head, and then come back and you hug the ball. A bit more difficult, you could go down into like a little squat while keeping that hug going. But yeah, it's a great exercise. It's gonna help you. You have to stabilize yourself with your feet. You have to let your abs stretch out, your chest, your back, under your armpits. All that gets stretched out in this movement. and putting this bungee cord or whatnot under Bill's back and having him to roll on it so that he can feel something behind him so that he can continue to try to connect his mind to the muscles behind him. We all look at the mirror in the front of us all day long. We know what our front look like, but we hardly ever get in contact with our back anyway. So it's hard to engage the muscles truly and really and truly if you had, like Bill have had, a stroke. So we doing what we can to try to get him back fully functional and moving. And it's going to take for us to hit all kinds of angles. Like here, he's doing this exercise, engaging the shoulders, trying to stretch out the chest, engaging the lats, but not holding the band with his hands. He holding it, he's pulling it with his wrist. That's a whole different angle, whole different feel, whole different pull on the shoulders. Well, actually, this is the last exercise that we did. And this is basically like a bench movement move. Bill haven't benched in years due to the shoulder. So we just getting the motion going. What we got him doing here is, again, smashing his elbows, trying to feel his back of his arms and elbows against this ball. And that's getting his arms way past where he walked in today. So it's just the fact that we getting him moving. Before you know it, he's going to be throwing the ball, catching the ball, shooting basketball, swinging a golf club just as well as he used to, or even better. But it's just the awakening of the body. You know, when you haven't moved around, a lot of people jump out, go to the gym, and they're complaining about soreness or stiffness, or they hurt themselves, or they strain something. Well, you just can't wake up, get out the bed, and go to work. You gotta prepare yourself. And that's the same way you got to do with the body and the muscles. The muscles even more so, because sometimes they lose their elasticity. Sometimes they have adhesions on them. Like you have, they develop like little trigger points on them, and scar tissue. And you don't know you have this type of stuff going on, which is why most people should start off with a personal trainer. Regardless if you stick with them or not, you should start off with one. It's because they can help and correct you when they see you doing certain things wrong, or correct you in movements that is not going in the right patterns, because they can see, pain moving you in different ways. But like I say, pain is the thing. Pain is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And, with me, you got to go through the pain, because pain caused the problem. So pain has to fix the problem.
Whew. I feel like I've been lifting weights.